Guys, are you ready for today's training? I know I am. If you've ever tried eating healthier or you started a weight loss program and it really had you making completely different choices from what your family was eating, then you may have run into some problems, right? And ultimately, you're here because things that you tried before didn't exactly work out for you in the past, right? You serve something that smells a little weird or looks any bit unfamiliar. Maybe there's just something green in there that there wasn't before. And you get this knee-jerk reaction from kids, from spouses, whoever you're cooking with is, oh, I'm not eating that, right? And that's really, as a mom, my worst nightmare. Like, I put all this effort into making a meal. I'll even try new recipes and I get really excited about it. And then it just really gets deflating when people are like, that looks gross. I'm not going to eat that, mom, right? So we don't want to see that, right? So it's a sensitive issue. And a lot of women try to make do with this, and they just assume that whatever plan they're following for weight loss is sort of non-negotiable, right? And they try to make it all work by cooking 2 meals. They say, well, okay, I'm really motivated to do this, so I'm just gonna make something for myself and I'm gonna continue cooking whatever the kids want, whatever the spouse wants, for all of that. And here's what happens when they do that, right? So first, they spend way more money on groceries. We all know everything at the grocery store is more expensive these days. So especially now, that's really not an option. Number two, they end up spending way more time cooking because, right, it's not just dinner. This is talking about lunches and what's for breakfast and everything else in the meantime too. And third, they really end up just resenting their diets because they really want to be eating what the family's eating. It's pizza night. They want to partake. And, there's really no reason that they shouldn't, right? And so all of those end up being really big failure points when it comes to making these changes for weight loss long term, because we know that we need to have a little bit of consistency, right? So today I want to show you how to balance out your meals with the guide details in mind, but in a way that your family eats them. So you can continue making the things that you're already making, putting this balance in place so that you can eat the same things while making it more in line with your weight loss goals as well. And that's when we do this in my 12-week program, the women that I work with, like, they just experience this sense of relief, like, oh, like I can just keep eating the same things. It doesn't have to be completely reinventing the wheel and making everyone else in my house unhappy or I'm unhappy, right? There's definitely a balance in the middle that we need to strike, right? So I want to show you, I gotta share my screen here. Way too many windows open right now. So this is the picture from your challenge manual. If you happen to be watching this video post challenge, regardless, this is generally how I like to balance out my meal. So whether I'm creating something for myself or I'm recommending things to clients, what we're always looking at is this balance in mind. So just kind of plating things that you normally make in this balance. And these are probably already things that you're already cooking, right? Most people cook some sort of meat, some sort of carb, and some sort of veggie, right? So if you're just taking that and you're changing the proportions at which you serve yourself, a lot of times this is enough to get you really far along with your program, right? So most women and most people in general tend to eat mostly yellow things, all carbs in that category. So all we're really doing here is making sure you're getting a half a plate of some sort of non-starchy veggies. So with weight loss, this is really important because non-starchy veggies are the things that you fill up on. Obviously provides a lot of bulk and taking up a lot of space on your plate, but because they are less starchy than typical carb carrying veggies, they really don't have a lot of calories, right? So you can really fill up on a little bit less. And most of us tend to overeat in the carbs and the protein category as well. So all that's really doing is shifting the balance from less calorie dense foods and to the opposite, right? More calorie dense foods to less calorie dense foods. And it's just changing that proportion just slightly. And you may be doing things very similar to this right now, but so even a small shift in this area can make a big difference for you. But the big question of the day here, what does that look like for family meals? Okay, so I want to make sure that you guys know exactly what you need to be doing, how you can be doing it. And I'm going to give you some of my examples, some things that I've had just in the past week that you guys can take a look at and see how it works. Okay. Favorite kids meal. We had this last night because the chicken I cooked in the oven and took so much time to prepare. The chicken was bad from the grocery store, and I didn't realize this until it came out of the oven and I tasted it. I'm like, that's not right. Okay. So we microwaved some chicken nuggets. We microwaved a bag of rice and we microwaved a bag of broccoli. Okay. But you can see very easily how this meal that came together in 10 minutes, plus the 30 minutes that I originally spent, but that's a wash. Half of a plate of broccoli. We're doing some chicken nuggets. Maybe not the most healthy thing out there under the sun, but still it's protein. It's getting you something in your belly, something in the kids before they have to go to bed, right? And then we have, I use the Uncle Ben's ready rice a lot, so it microwaves in 90 seconds. But if I think about this ahead of time, I'll throw rice in the Instant Pot and do it that way as well. White rice you can do. If you want a little bit more fiber, you could do brown rice as well. But let's be honest, some kids will not touch brown rice, okay? And so don't feel ashamed to do white rice instead, right? So just make sure you're doing a quarter plate of that, quarter plate of chicken nuggets, which is like 5 to 6 nuggets, and then a good helping of broccoli, okay? Pasta night is a thing too, okay? Don't skip carbs. You love pasta, just admit it. Just eat the pasta, okay? So really balance here. We got a big salad on one side, and then half of our plate is the spaghetti and meatballs. So you can use really whatever kind of meatball you want. You can make them from scratch. You can use beef ones. You can do any sort of frozen option. I found these Kid Fresh chicken meatballs to actually sneak some sort of vegetable in there as well. So that's an extra win. And then if you can pass for whole wheat spaghetti, great, you're adding a little bit more fiber. Again, just like the rice, some kids won't touch that. And so regular pasta is fine. Any shape that they desire is fine as well. Okay. So that's pasta night. One of our other favorite meals, the quick meals, is hot dogs and buttered noodles. This is like one thing from my childhood that was like standard staple family meal. And so that's continued with my daughter as well. So we usually do turkey hot dogs. Again, not necessarily the healthiest thing that you could ever put on your plate, but in a pinch when you're getting things ready, these are the things that make sense, right? So switching from a beef hot dog to a turkey hot dog may save you, a lot of the fat and the excess calories that come with that, but you're not sacrificing that convenience factor here as well. And sometimes you just need that. If you want to make the fancy chicken, go for it. But there may be nights when you need to pull a turkey hot dog out of your back pocket, right? So we got that. We've got butter noodles, and then kid favorites, baby carrots and cherry tomatoes for the veggie there on the side. And again, all with that balance in mind. And of course, we can't forget about pizza night. So again, really focusing on the veggies there. So serving this with a big salad. Usually if you do like one pretty decent slice of pizza, that's pretty decent in terms of being filling and also not overdoing it calorie wise. So you're sort of staying in your budget there. I think the only thing that's really lacking, unless you're making a very serious effort to get the protein on the pizza, would be that protein. Okay. So pepperoni is mostly fat, not really providing a ton of protein there. Cheese, same thing. It's not really providing a ton of protein, but it may be filling enough just to get by for this one meal. Okay. You could also order like an antipasto salad that has the rolled up lunch meat on it as well to get an extra boost of protein too, especially if the kids only like cheese on their pizza and then they pull it off anyway. At least you get something going in there as well. So those are some of my family favorite meals. Let me just stop sharing this here so I can see you guys again. There we go. Okay. Now here's the thing. So this is going to help you. And this is really what this 5 days is all about, is really making sure we're getting this balance down and we're doing this in a way that is sustainable for the whole family dynamic and whoever else you may be living with. So you may have older kids that are sort of on their own for mealtime and stuff like that. So this could go for you, whether you have young kids or not, right? So you'll probably be eating more veggies this way. Half a plate of veggies is more than people are usually willing to consume. And then by lessening the other portions on the carbs and the proteins, we're naturally reducing things like salt and sugar and excess fat, and therefore calories and all of that too, without a whole lot of other thought behind that, okay? But this is just really one small cog in the bigger weight loss wheel. And so if you're here really to use this challenge to kickstart a longer journey for yourself, just know that this one small action is probably not going to get you everywhere that you want to go, right? So you'll likely lose a few pounds this week by really focusing on these details. But in a few weeks, you'll probably see about as much progress as you will see from this one change. Things will plateau out a little bit. And this is usually the stage where people are just like, okay, well, that was a good challenge, but I'm done now. Like it didn't do anything else, right? And that's fine, right? Really what we're focused here on is this one particular skill, knowing that it is just one skill that we need to learn in the grand scheme of things. So what is the next step then, right? So from there, we really have to start looking at the bigger picture of things. We're focused in on one minute detail, but we need to figure out how your current habits can shift to allow for steady weight loss going forward. And this is a very individual process. What you need to change is not going to be the same things that I need to change or anybody else here in this challenge is going to need to change, right? We have to get very clear on what that plan looks like and create very specific action steps to help get you there, okay? So that is everything that my 12-week online program is doing, okay? So in 3 short months, you can lose up to 20 pounds. The women who really invite the changes and are really open to making the changes very often surpass that as well. What they're also doing is, they're building that motivation and the energy and the drive to get to that further goal. A lot of them are here to lose more than 20 pounds. They're looking at 50 to 100 pounds as their final goal, right? But we can work on 20, right? And that's definitely a manageable thing to be doing for the first 3 months that you're in the program. And then really it's about gaining that confidence and really getting into the groove with your weight loss, understanding what it's going to take, having that support behind you to make sure that you're making those changes and making adjustments along the way, right? I think if you've ever lost a significant amount of weight, maybe you've surpassed that 20-pound mark before, but sort of fell flat, you kind of have to know what to do for your first 20 pounds and then for the next 10 or 15 or 20, and then changes after that. And then maintaining that weight is a whole other project, right? So there are some continuing programs that we have in place for that as well. So it's a lot of trial and error, and it's hard to mentally and emotionally make it through that process. And so if you can gain confidence that in fact this is actually possible for you, it really becomes a game changer when it comes to actually following through on this thing, okay? So in your reset manual, I told you that you do have the opportunity to join this 12-week program for free, right, through this challenge. So be sure to check on page 4. There's a list of requirements for making sure that you're doing that, and know that I extended the deadline for submitting your goals and commitment sheets to midnight tonight. I just want to make sure that anyone who has not and just missed that detail for whatever reason has the opportunity to join the raffle for this drawing, right? But if you are interested in the program, you want to learn a little bit more about that, we'll be talking about it a little bit more this week as well. But feel free to reach out to me if you feel like this is just something that you need to finally take seriously and get right. Now is a great time to do this. We're headed into a holiday season, right? So there's no better time to have that support on your side than to make it through Thanksgiving and Halloween, and is it September, October, November, and to be through your 12 weeks by the time Christmas and New Year's roll around, right? That may be a perfect timing to make sure that you've got all that stuff in place. So, but that is it for today. So hopefully you found this enlightening, hopefully eased your mind a little bit about prepping these family meals so that you can continue eating the same things as the rest of your family, not see that ick face on your kid's face every night at dinner time. We don't want that either, and just kind of ease this process for you. Weight loss doesn't need to be complicated. I think more often than not, we tend to overcomplicate it and create all of these rules and restrictions and things. And sometimes it just comes down to little shifts like this. So make sure you're staying focused on this balance all week. Continue posting pictures of the things that you are creating, and we will see who wins this drawing at the end of the week.